It's that time again. What are y'all doing?
What time is that? 3 o'clock.
I'm trying to use it. I'm trying to find a picture really fast because somebody in D-Live posted a thing, and I'm trying to use it as a teaching moment for the rest of the people that. Oh, there we go. Found it. Okay, y'all say hello, and I gotta share something really fast before it scrolls up and I can't find it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? Good to see you on this Sunday, now the 16th day of May. Good to have you aboard if you're joining on Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, somewhere out in the Periscoposphere, D-Live, or over on the Foxhole app, and last but not least, over on Trovo. Good to see you all aboard here today.
Good evening.
Say hi, Daddy. There you
go. Good evening.
Good evening.
Guten Tag.
And don't forget, it's 9:05 in the evening in good old Blighty.
Blimey.
Blimey. Yeah.
I got to do this really fast and then we can get to talking, but I've got to do it now or it's going to scroll up where I'm not going to be able to find it. Or maybe not. No.
Well, while you do that.
Yeah, go ahead, because I was looking at a whole different stream. It wasn't even in our channel. Go ahead.
All right. So I keep seeing folks posting stuff about LSR, Last Scout Radio. I don't have a clue. I see a lot of people through the PSB side here asking questions. I have no idea. No idea what the reason is. They got the boot from D-Live. I heard about it the other night. All I can say is check social media, check their webpage, see where they land, I suppose. I don't even know where all to find them, frankly.
Listen, I text Chano, and I'd asked him if everything was okay, and he just said he'd been working on his van. So, I don't like to poke too much, but I'll ask him. People are asking what happened in D-Live and see. He'll tell me.
Well, and I think Lady RWB and Magic and a couple of those that are on the morning side of things, I think they're over there sometimes in the afternoons, evenings, whatever. I had heard copyright issues, who knows? And that's as much as I know, only from what I've seen past your chat. So again, I don't know where to technically find them. I tried checking out their website, and looks like it hasn't been updated since maybe September, October last year. So again, if they're on Twitch, try and find them, or perhaps they have landed on Foxhole or some other platform. Huh?
LSR is back up. No chat so far. Copyright crap. That's what Captain Kirk said in our D-Live.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Like I said, I've seen people going back and forth on it, asking questions. I'm only as smart as you guys on that. So
can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Scout. Remember Scout back in the day?
Who's gone?
A morning guy.
Who's gone off what channel?
Listen to what we're saying, Daddy. Remember Scout? Remember Choctaw Scout back in the PSB early days? He was one of the
yeah.
Him. That's LSR, Last Scout Radio. He did his own channel, and he was on with like the Lady RWBs and like Chanos over there with him. Fortunate Patriot.
They did like old time radio and old songs and stuff like 40s and 30s. Like, back in the day before there was TV, people used to listen to radio programs at night. That's kind of the motif, I guess, of what he did. And I think he probably had some other tunes and special guests and shows and whatnot.
And he's got a really lovely wife that I sent some English scones to.
Yeah, Archangel something, or what was it?
Not Archangel. It was
start with an A. Like Key will tell us, or he's out there, or Captain Kirk. Oh man, start with an A. It was long. See, I'm bad because I have to try to remember all these folks' names from way back to current.
Name escapes me. I can hear her voice because she used to be the Twitter on fire on Twitter all the time.
Ancestral
Cross.
That's it.
Yeah. There we go. I'll think about it in a minute. Okay. Yeah. No, misread, but no, it's Ancestral is Scout's wife. She might have changed her name though.
Well, let me see. If
That's our
can I just show you all, because I've been on this? I'm on a health buzz, right? And I know that people over here want to know what it is that I've had today. So I'm going to show. I just want to briefly show everyone, right?
Are you posting your meals on Instagram, Daddy?
No, on Instagram.
Warning.
It was not.
Let me ask you. You're not about to show a picture of yourself, and if you are, you have clothes on, correct?
I'm not going to show a picture of myself.
Okay.
I think he's going to show
a picture. I just want to make sure you got clothes on.
Right. What
Oh my word!
Can you see something?
You don't know, Daddy, if you don't know why I asked that.
Where's the meat on that plate?
There ain't none, right? Let me just point this out to you, right? This is Stephen Todd, right? So we've got the apple there. I actually put a bit of raw beetroot in this. You got a third of a cucumber, a carrot, celery, a little tiny bit of broccoli. I've got half a lemon there, whole lemon, half a lime, because we're limeys. You got blueberries, and there you have it. You've got the spinach, right?
Let me tell you something, Dee Dee. You got two problems with that picture. Number one, there's no meat on it, and number two, there's ranch dressing missing all over the joint.
There's what?
Ranch dressing missing.
Oh, right. So let me show you the next one, right? I do like meat, don't get me wrong. And there it is in the blender, ready to go. So just to let everyone see it, right? And there it is. It turns out to be 2 pints that I got out of that. There's the first pint, and I absolutely loved it. So I just thought I'd show everyone that.
It looks like that.
Do you add any flaxseed or chia seed to that?
I'll tell you
what.
You
should start adding flaxseed. Yeah, you should start adding flaxseed to it. And a little dollop of peanut butter.
That's what I added to it.
Apricot kernels? Oh, my word.
Yeah.
I make a smoothie that I put stuff like that in it, but I make like bananas and strawberries and blueberries and apples, and then I add flaxseed, little peanut butter, natural honey, boost my immune system. I bought this freaking blender. I'm telling you right now, these people should sponsor me. Okay, I told you about my air fryer, and I'm a review hoe. Like I will check the damn reviews like a psychopath to make sure I'm not buying something shitty. But there is a blender on Amazon for like 80 something bucks. I've used Blendtex, Vitamix, Ninjas. I've had them all except for the Blendtex or the Vitamix or whatever. This $80 blender, I would put up against the dang $400 Vitamix any day of the week. It's got a small engine on the bottom of it, and that thing will pulverize ice. I mean, it is a badass blender. But yeah, I'm telling you, if you can get some flaxseed, Daddy, I'd do it. Add a little flaxseed or chia seed to it if you can. I mean, that'll really help.
Let's just say you might be a redneck if you have to pull start your blender.
It's bad. It's got the damn motor of a weed eater. But Daddy, if I put that in front of a country boy, that plate you just showed me, he'd probably walk out the door, get in this mule, go hunt the deer himself.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. And someone else has sent me, and I just want to show this to everyone. I got this today, right?
Aww. That's
someone sent me this teapot, right? And I was thinking to myself, and this little thing, I've got to just show everyone this, right? These are the type of gifts I'll get through from really wonderful people, right? And they've sent me this, evidently it's sort of some sort of flower tea, right? Or herbal tea, right? And they've sent me this thing, and evidently it comes to life in your teapot, right? Like
yeah.
Does anyone know about it? I never knew.
Yeah. The Japanese use those a lot because they like to steep their teas and put it down. Yeah. But that's a fancy little pot. You put all your stuff in the middle, makes it all pretty. Oh, yeah.
Flower.
Women love them because they're glass and you can see that cylindrical thing and you can make it look really, really pretty and set it out for people. Sent me
that one. Look, Eternal Love. Thank you very much, whoever it was. And then I've got another one, Rising Spring. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I'd let you know that. There's a couple other things that I was going to show people, but I won't do it.
Yeah.
But what do you think of that, though? That's the type of thing and gifts I'll get through the post, and I think that is really lovely. And I looked at it and I thought, what the fuck do I do with that? And
listen, Ian And this one of our viewers, Ian, has hand crocheted me like little bitty, like rose flowers and shipped them all the way from where you're at. And I was like, my God, the amount, I know how much it costs to send something across the pond, okay? Because sent Bird my old weed whacker freaking laptop because he did all my IT stuff back in the day. And so I know it cost me $105 just to ship it. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't even know if the thing was worth $100. So yeah, stuff like that it means a lot to you because somebody took the time to do it. So yeah, it's pretty special. Listen. Sit it up on a shelf.
Huh?
Sit it up on a shelf. Well, first off, make the tea. If you're into your health right now, make that tea. That tea's good for you.
Yeah, no.
BJ said I love my magic bullet. Yes, they're pretty badass too. Those little magic bullets. And Skybree says I have a ninja one. You don't have that one that has the 3 blades, do you? I had the one that had the 3 blades through the stick, and that thing, I mean, it was horrifying. It would strip the nut down in the center if you didn't have that thing sitting just right. I saw so many people complain about the ninja because it would keep stripping the blade thing. I don't know, but yeah, I just was trying to react to people in chat was kind of commenting back to us.
So just to let everybody know, tomorrow you're going to have to put up with me because I'm giving up smoking. Right, this is my last pouch of tobacco. Once that's gone, and then I'm going to be headbutting walls and all sorts of things. So if I get a raving ump, you know why. What's the American term for getting a raving ump? It's not pissed. Or is it? No, it is pissed. It is pissed, isn't it? Because we call piss getting drunk.
You'll be short fused because you're quitting smoking. I'll give you one sage piece of advice on that too. Roll one up, Daddy. Roll your last one up and just hold it in between your fingers like you're used to doing when you smoke. Just don't light it. They say the majority of the addiction of smoking isn't just smoking it. It's also holding the cigarette. There's the habit of holding it. So hold it just hold it there. Just don't light it, especially those first couple days.
Either that or just chew on a stogie.
I'm going to try it anyway. What else are we going to say to you? There's some other things that I'm not going to, unless you want me to, of course. Let me just say this to everyone. In the United States of America, right? I absolutely love America. You know that. I'll tell you for why. Because that instinct for freedom is spreading all the way to England, and virtually every major city in England this Saturday had major demonstrations. And let me tell you something, right? You've got to listen to this, right? This was not on the news, right? But roughly 40 to 50,000 people in London marched from St. James's Park in London to the BBC, shouting outside the BBC, shame on you, pedos, shut them down, right? And there was a handful of police officers there, right? Because they didn't know where they'd come from, and they come from everywhere. And all over the country, we had these freedom rallies. And just to let you know, on the 29th of this month, there is a massive rally. We're expecting well over 1 million people. And I'm going to be there, and I hope a little crew from the supporting the Daddy Dragon show and the English Democrats are going to be there, because we're going to do a flag swap. So if there's any union flags out there, we're going to be taking them off you, politely putting them into a disposable carrier bag, and we will then be giving you an English flag.
Well, real quick before you jump into that, back to your health real quick. I'm going to be extremely concerned if we start seeing Instagram photos or some sort of social media photos of you wearing shorty shorts, long socks, and some running shoes and out running around the square. So, yeah.
I don't think you got any chance of me being in any little shorts just yet. Maybe leathers.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
Okay, so Ranking sent this to me actually, I think yesterday, and to Daddy's point about people speaking up. This what didn't much either that I saw, except for what he sent me in this article. And this is a gas station in Nashville. Everybody knows I live in Tennessee, and they on their gas station signs. This is not a joke. I'll show you a video of it. where they said, hope gas prices don't get too high. And it's a picture of Hunter Biden. It says gas prices, that picture of him laying in the tub. It's the Lewis Country Store. I called this store, by the way, yesterday and was like, I love you guys. This is why I love living in Tennessee. Please don't let anybody try and cancel you or intimidate you to take this down. They said, honey, we don't listen to those people. She said, we've gotten calls from California and Texas and everybody thanking us for what we've put up on our sign. And it says, I thought that gas station pic with Hunter was fake, but this guy recorded it. Bless this ballsy gas station. So here's just a sample of that it's not fake. And I called them. I know it's not fake. I live in Tennessee. So it's a picture of Tucker there like laughing. And then it's got Biden Harris empty on the thing. And then it has that picture of Hunter. But this is legitimate. This is the store right outside of Nashville that has done this, and he gets it at the Lewis Country Store. And so this is like privately owned, and they do not care. They also have a sign in the front of their building. This is another one they did. Roses are red, grass is greener. If you think I'm going to wear a mask, you can suck my wiener. This is the same. And then this is one of the signs. It says communism, socialism. It has masked people. It says, attention, you are not required to wear a mask in our facility. And so it says, then it says, this is to the mayor of Nashville's named John Cooper, and his band of communist cohorts are the real virus threatening Nashville. So that is a true story. This store really has that sign up, and the people need to do this more. I mean, every day they're changing these damn protocols. They just did it again where they're saying that now the CDC, they're trying to say because they have more data. Give me there's more science. That's the problem. There's no freaking science. They're changing their opinions as the wind blows on what they say people can and cannot do with these damn masks. They don't know. There's no science behind it. Proof. The CDC director denies new mask guidance was politically motivated. Science evolved. Again, there was no science behind the masks. They removed our entire video we did that I showed that Oracle documentary on. They just removed it and cited as medical misinformation when the whole damn video, I showed the evidence of everything I was talking about. These people are covering for these crooks, and I'm tired of it. That the freaking vaccine is still under what is the
authorized use?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the damn it. It's still being tested.
I've got to show you.
What's the word I'm looking for, Breaking?
It's still it's still in trial. It hasn't even completed all clinical trials at this point. Full trials aren't even due to be finished until 2023.
And I'm tired. They keep saying safe and effective. And this is still experimental vaccine, no matter the way they want to dice it to you here on YouTube or anywhere else. That's the truth. And what's scary is and how much they're shutting people down for telling you that. We're not lying to you. I'm not making it up. I'm not giving you misinformation. That's the freaking truth. And now they're pushing to give it to what is it now, like 5 to 12-year-olds or some shit?
Yeah,
that's dangerous.
And it's DNA. Yeah, it's DNA changing. That's what you got to be careful of. It's not just them. It's their children and their children's children, and their DNA will be changed forever.
Not only that.
Let me read this one part and you can talk about it. It says, during his appearance on Fox News, Chris Wallace pressed Wolkinski on the reasons behind the CDC's abrupt shift in policy. On Wednesday night, you were still arguing, still making the case that people who are fully vaccinated need to wear their masks indoors. Wallace posed to Walensky. And then Thursday, less than 24 hours later, you said, no, it's changed. Now, you don't need masks if you're fully vaccinated, either indoors or outdoors. Would you agree that this abrupt shift was not handled as well as it might have been? Wolzinski responded that the agency had recently received evolving data on the science and said that brings into this pandemic are starting to turn around. Again, there's no fucking science. These people are lying to you. I'm tired of these people lying to you, and then YouTube and all these other platforms like Twitter and Facebook covering for these people. That's scary. You can take the vaccine if you want to. I don't care.
1984 has arrived when, number one, Merriam-Webster's dictionary changes the definition of anti-vaxxers. One, not to just include, hey, a little skepticism of any jab, but if by chance there is forced inoculations by the government, you are now an anti-vaxxer. But more importantly, what they did not tell you, and of the articles now that I've read that have come out, they also changed the definition of what a vaccine is to include, dun dun dun, gene therapy, folks. Did you know that? And so, yes, now that old S1 document at the SEC filings for Moderna that has gene therapy striddled all throughout, obviously, even throughout that particular document, it clearly states that, hey, you can't really sell gene therapy to the populace. It says that's not really a sexy term. We'll just call it a vaccine. So, in true 1984 fashion, Winston here gets the tube, gets a little rolled up piece of paper, says, oh, that's some wrong think right there. Now we need to change the definition. We'll send it back in the tube. Whoop, off it goes. Voila, Merriam-Webster now changes the definition. Welcome to 1984, folks.
That goes again to what I was saying about how they're shutting people up. They're silencing people. They're taking people down. But behind the scenes, they're secretly changing definitions of words. I mean, you cannot make this shit up. Like, it should alarm. And no wonder people have hesitancy, even the people that never thought they would, because they're not telling you the truth. And when people try to, like we do, we're not perfect. Do you think why is CNN and MSNBC still recommended on YouTube when they spent 4 years lying to people? So common citizens are shut down and banned and removed. But CNN and MSNBC can lie to you every single day and nothing's ever done to them. If that doesn't show that these people in power protect the people in power while they shit on the little person, I don't know what else would.
And not forgetting that propaganda is actually illegal.
No, it's actually legal. See, well, this is the mantra, DD, that people tend to forget. Under Obama, what actually happened, what was known as the Smith-Mundt Revitalization Act of 2012. What used to be propaganda was spread on the outside of the United States to foreign countries. And it used to be pretty well known that Voice of America, Voice of Europe, and that just used to be propaganda arms to disseminate information, the talking points of the state to other countries. So as part of the NDAA 2013, upped again in 2017 and subsequent years, it put the verbiage in place to merit the change to the Smith-Mundt Act. That was revitalized in 2012 to where now propaganda is totally legal to be broadcast across the airwaves of these United States. Totally legal. And most people have no idea that that is indeed the case, that they're not being told the truth out of any media outlets, whether it be radio, whether it be TV, whether it be internet or otherwise. And that's precisely why I use the PSA that I do as part of my shows to highlight that. But here's one thing that could disrupt this whole stinking thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Dr. Shiva, the guy that brought his own lawsuit in Massachusetts, right? He ran for Congress there, was definitely contesting the election integrity stuff going on there. Very brilliant guy, right? Inventor of email. He has since filed a lawsuit, a federal case. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. Federal case that's taking it straight to Twitter. And at the end of the day, the way he has worded that, from what I have seen, is going to challenge Section 230, because now what Twitter has to actually do is answer the question as to whether or not they are indeed a private corporation or if they are a state actor. And one would surmise that this could have implications for not just Twitter, but the Facebooks, the YouTubes, and the like. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch, and what this could potentially do to the likes of Section 230 that many of us have harpooned against.
And listen, and every single one of them better understand that we're not backing down. YouTube can ban people and take them off the airwaves. D Live has been better to us. I don't know what's going on. I saw somebody else say that chats rooms were disappearing. But like at least D Live, whenever they did what they did with demonetizing these channels, reversed that decision. I think they looked at their quarterly and said, where the hell happened to all our money? And it was all these patriots starting to use D Live. And they're like, money or, propaganda. And I think they thought of it as a business way. But stuff like Foxhole will just continue to grow. Places like Foxhole, somebody else will start up another one. And over on Foxhole, you don't have to be concerned about it because it's independent. The other people will build stuff that will challenge this propaganda. I think that's why CNN and MSNBC are panicking and reaching out to places like YouTube and probably flooding D Live with a bunch of crap, is pressuring them to get rid of us because people actually tune into us and they're losing numbers every single day. Whether it be here at 5x5 or whether it be Red Pill or whether it be the Soapbox or Daddy or 412 or whoever, people out there are looking for people that would just try and be honest. And because they realize how much the other networks, the people that have millions of dollars backing them and teams of people to write their stories for them, are lying to you. Just be honest. Stop taking videos down where people are just trying to be honest. It's sickening. And we'll just build something. We don't need your assets. Keep kicking us off.
And don't forget, just to emphasize, a long time ago, I watched Devin Nunes, and he said Rumble is one of the places to be. It's never going to be taken down. Last week, they started their live streaming, and I'm on their live streaming. You can't save the video on there, but if you save it onto your own machine and then re-upload it later, you can. I haven't done that yet because I'm running out of disk space. But when it's live, and people are saying it looks pretty good on there. So just to let you know, and you can live stream 4K to Rumble.
Yeah.
Well, wait till Gab TV kicks off, gets all their bugs worked out. I support Gab 100% because they have been in this fight since day one, and it still kind of irritates me to death that Trump does not have an account over there.
Well, and does Gab do live streaming now or not?
Not yet. It's going to be close. They're in the process of migrating their platforms over to a new system that's going to be more universal. If they try to take Gab down, it's not going to wipe everything out. That's how they have built their platform to where, hey, if they try and do a DDoS against Gab TV, well, Gab Social will still be fine. Gab Chat will still be fine. So they've diversified their platform to the point where you can't wipe the whole thing out. And that's good on them. That's very, very smart. That being said, as they work through the hiccups net, because they just actually migrated Gab TV over here at the beginning part of this week. And frankly, I'm still having trouble getting some uploads over there. I'm a couple behind. But once they get that stuff worked out, it shouldn't be too terribly long before they'll kick off live streaming. They've got a couple other things planned, including a Zoom type replacement as well. So a lot of good things coming. But the first big hurdle that they had to do is get migrated over to this new platform, if you will. Think of it like what crypto rides on by way of blockchain. Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, no, and again, I'm not having a pop at any of them people. They've all put their money where their mouth is, and for my way of thinking, there's plenty of room. I think if there's 4 or 5 platforms out there, I don't see any issue with the type of software that I've got, and I know that you use as well. You can live stream to all 5 at the same time, and people can use whatever platform they want to watch. They'll all be saved. And I think that's the best way of doing it. And then, we can just carry on like that. But yeah, good.
And I'll put the call out for those in chat and those you may know who are very adept at IT. If there is any one tool that us as creators could stand to have at this point in time, is a mass uploader, very similar to how we stream. If you know somebody that knows how to program and mass disseminate, uploads to where all we have to do is put it in one spot and it'll upload to 4 or 5 other platforms seamlessly, great, build it. I think there's a huge need for that for those of us that do a lot of creation in that. We can get away with doing what we do through streaming, no problem. But it's when it comes down to actual uploaded shows, Nat, on a lot of these platforms, that's where I think a tool would definitely be needed.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think that would be massive because that is exactly what people need. If you've got 5 or 6 platforms that you want to upload to, at the moment you have to go to each platform and individually upload each video.
Well, hopefully we'll figure all that out. At least we have the platforms to upload to. That to me is like another kink in the chain that would be nice to work out. But that to me that's like down the line of making sure that we support the places that actually stream us and remind the people that think that it's some kind of privilege to be on their platform. Again, it infuriates me because YouTube was nothing. 10 years ago, YouTube was nothing. If it wasn't for the creators on their platform, they would not be where they are today. Yeah. And yes, it had a lot to do with the gaming side of things. The gamers got on there and built YouTube. The content creators, the people that vlog their lives, built YouTube from nothing. So I could imagine people that have been on there for 10 years and built their stuff up, only to see them constantly promote like CNN or MSNBC. It's kind of disgusting. Yeah, and it's like once you get a taste of power corrupts. Well, imagine all the people that have been on there for years. And again, I will say it one more time. I hope Gab TV gets their stuff worked out because I think everybody should support Gab because they've been in this fight for years. They didn't start yesterday. They've been in it for years. Yeah. Struggling to try and stay online while people constantly attack them. And good luck to Frank TV. Good luck to whatever baby produces Trump is trying to launch. Good luck to those people. But again, Gab's been in this fight for a long damn time. Yes, and moving on from that.
And not only that, real quick to that point, Torba has also put together a way to process payments. So as creators, as somebody who has content or whatever it is that you want to do, let's say it's like a Teespring type thing, they now have or will have the ability here shortly to be able to do payment processing, much the same way that a PayPal would, that they've been kicked off of, by the way, much the same way that Visa, MasterCard, and that would do payment processing, all that stuff behind the scenes. So they've had to develop all these tools as they've been kicked off from every single thing since the Pittsburgh shooting.
Well, again, I got kicked off of PayPal as well. So I know what that feels like. And again, just to let everyone know, I've been doing quite a bit of research into international human rights laws. And one of the things that you're not allowed to do is to remove the finance from political parties or people with political opinions that are not the same as yours. So why are we allowing this to happen when there's international law that's supposed to be there to stop it? And one of the things with Sun Tzu is use your enemy's resources against them. And I see someone sent me a great video the other day with Barnes Law, and it looks like they're going to be suing the Federal Reserve. So there's lots of things going on in the background that I think is building momentum now.
Well, let me say real quick, thanks, He Cute and BJM. I'm going to start calling you BJM because calling you BJ is just weird for me as a girl. And Donnie Q and Old Bucket for the lemons and D-Live. Just if I want to get that out. Sometimes I forget to do that. We go on these kind of round the tables. You can imagine, spit stuff out. And so I just wanted to say thanks to that as well. Because again, if it wasn't for D-Live turning back on the monetization, I think they looked at their quarterly numbers. And then because when YouTube demonetizes, it took a big hit on this channel. That's just the truth of the matter. Probably 98% of our donations were gone immediately. When you have a channel for a year and a half, that's a pretty stiff kick in the teeth. So, we still have a little on Patreon. I think we have like 7 patrons So we like, it is what it is. It feels weird for me to kind of bring that stuff up, but it does cost money to run a channel. So it gets to the point to where, you're putting out more money than you're getting back. And that's understandable in the beginning, but like, paying for like the Zoom accounts and the restreams and all that stuff, it does that up.
Oh.
And so, I just appreciate the people that do support us, because it does cost some money to run.
And not
fun, but it does. Huh? Go ahead. Sorry.
And it's not just about how much it costs. It does cost money. And it's not until people start. I've had this a few times, and I've supported people starting their own channels, and they start their own channels, and I go, yeah, that's the channel. Like, 5by5, support the channel, keep going. People don't realise how much commitment it takes to be on air every night between a certain time, and it takes over your life. And it may only be an hour every night, but if you, for a specific reason, you want to be live, you don't want to be recorded or whatever, where you can sort of do other things. And people don't realise the commitment it takes to do that every day of your life for 5 or 10 years. It is a massive thing, and it becomes part of you. It is same way as the audience want to tune in. We all want to do it. So, like I say, you do want to support these channels, because we're not here to tell you lies. We're here to tell you the truth as we see it.
And on that note, I will add to people, again, that work in the background. I can tell you from experience, the people that are not seen, that work in the background, that you might not see on air, it is a tireless, thankless job. I mean, you're the one woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning because a bot's not working. You're the one told 2 hours before a show somebody can't come on, they need to find replacement. Daddy knows that. I've had to call on him before. But it is a tireless 24/7, 7 day a week job. Even if I tell people like Saturday's my day off, you can damn well better believe I'm going to get DMs on Saturday. And it just is what it is. And I don't say that because nobody's got a gun to my head. I do it voluntarily. But it is a job. Trust me.
Yeah. Can I just, I want to show the American audience this, because I want to vote from any Americans listening to this, and tell me whether this is true. Someone sent it to me, and I've got to show it because it did make me laugh, right? And you can all tell me whether this is true or false. I'm not suggesting it is true. I'm just saying someone sent me this, and it's out of a newspaper, and it goes into detail, and it talks about the ex-mayor of San Francisco. He was 50 years old when he met Harris, and 29. She was 29 when their affair began. Harris was as brazen that she came out publicly at his date. He's sick on the date at his 60th birthday party, despite his wife for 36 years being in attendance. Right now, that's the story. There's the two people. I'm now going to show you the bold headline, and I want you to tell me if this is true, and if it is true, what the fuck is she doing as your vice president? Tell me if that's true.
Yep. Certainly is. That's the reason why she had the old hashtag heels up Harris.
Really?
That is how she got her start. The problem is that
people have the memory of a pissant. Like, you can go over this stuff. Look at Al Sharpton, who's out there on stage as a preacher, preaching to everybody else about how corrupt America is and how much change we need to do. And that man is the largest tax evader we could bring up right now today on this show. But that man's the one out here preaching to you about how horrible you are. Al Sharpton, who has the show on the mainstream news programs, who goes out here telling everybody about how horrible the country is, while he's sitting there racking in six figures as a black man on television. Like Oprah Winfrey doing a damn interview with a freaking princess, a billionaire talking to a princess about oppression. And these people look at you as the common person, like the blue collar worker, and come on TV living in $14 million mansions, letting you know how horrible you are. It's just, I mean, it's, I don't know. And don't even get me started on how dare you, girl, that they bring in front of the Senate as a kid that was already out of school because she had mental issues, coming on air and telling people what they should tell their children, adult women should tell their children. This is who we're taking advice from.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, and not only that, Dee Dee, I think I spoke about this a little bit the other day. Kamala is not even a U.S. citizen by definition. Her father is a Jamaican, and her mother being Indian, born in Jamaica, that makes her a British subject. I'm going to pull up the lawsuit against her here momentarily. Give me a second. And I'll
Give you
have
another
that.
one. Ilhan Omar.
Are we
Anybody
saying that
buried her
we're
statehood?
not suggesting that she's a British whore, are we?
Well, I don't know if I can go that far, but nonetheless, she is not eligible for the position she's in per our constitution. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
Joe's
so there is actually a court case that has been started in that regard, in which she actually has a default judgment against her because she failed to respond.
I'm getting loads of yeses to my comment, by the way. Just to let you know, I think quite a few people agree with that one. There it is, all being steamed in. That is funny. Are we still on air?
As far as I can tell.
Yep.
Sorry, people.
Let's see here.
It's that drink I keep drinking.
There we go.
Yeah, it's
What are you bringing up now?
Hang on.
again. This woman again was your attorney general in California who put more people in jail when she had evidence that they were innocent, and she kept them there for free labor. That's your VP. I go off of her record and things that make her, to me, a criminal. And without like doing the ad hominem stuff, I can list the shit that makes this lady. Again, these are the same people that preached us about Trump being some kind of a Russian spy. These are the same people that tried to call him a racist for years, even though we showed the video time after time after time of what they used against him because they didn't bother to play the rest of it, just like they did on the January 6th crap. Like it is again, it's people's memory, and some of these leftists, you could tell them the house is on fire and they would sit in their living room, I don't know, with gasoline poured around them. It's like they don't get it.
So, Dee Dee, just to let you know, this is per one of the guys that comes on PSB during the week. The Constitution Association, which is out in California, filed suit against Kamala Devi Harris. And apparently the judge that took up the case has filed and put in the record that she is defaulted. She was properly processed, served, all that good stuff. And at this point, failed to respond. And so my guess, and I don't know where this goes from here, if this thing ultimately will end up before the Supreme Court or what's supposed to happen. But nonetheless, it's a constitutional issue because she is not eligible to be in the position she is at. And I'm guessing that unlike Barry Soetoro, number 44, who had his record sealed so that, hide the fact that he's a Kenyan, was never eligible for the office. I don't think Kamala was probably smart enough to seal her records prior to taking that position.
I mean, like Obama and Michelle did?
Yeah, that's what I said, Barry Soetoro.
Oh, yeah. See,
Bathhouse
I guess
Barry.
that throws me off. Yeah. And well, again, I will go back to the very beginning of the conversation when we brought this up really quick to again tell you that Republicans demand answers from Biden about the origins of COVID-19. It almost makes me sick to share this with you guys because I'm so sick of we demand answers and then they don't do a damn thing. Like this stuff is to me is like the propaganda that I talk about. Oh, Republicans are demanding that Biden and the DNI director provide more information on the origins of COVID. We want all the records. We're going to give you until like May 31st or some shit. Like, great, do something about it. There we go. The lawmakers say they will give Biden and Haynes until May 31st to deliver information, and then when they don't, what are you going to do? Because they never do. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think it. I think
Go
what
ahead.
we have seen out of Rand Paul here grilling Fauci about the whole gain of function business and who they offloaded the grants and that through, which ultimately led back to Fauci anyway. They're slicing hairs here to say that the NIAID didn't provide funding. Well, that's smoke and mirrors because yes, they did. They provided it to a secondary party. The secondary party is the one who ultimately ended up funding it. It all led right back to them anyway. And so it falls squarely on the shoulders of old Fauci. And I think Rand Paul is absolutely right to say that this whole charade that we've seen play out here since the beginning of last year falls squarely upon Dr. quote unquote Fauci.
Yeah,
So,
there's nothing funky going on. Everybody's legitimate that works in our as professors of our institutes. And nothing. No, there's nothing crazy going on. Nothing crazy. Just a former professor sentenced to 37 months in prison for using federal grants to aid China's medical research. Now, just as Zen Zoguchi, a former professor at Ohio State University, pled guilty in November. We're just hearing about it now. To lying to the NIH grant applications in order to use $4.1 million in research grants to develop the fields of rheumatology and immunology. What are we talking about? For China, the Department of DOJ said. He was arrested last May in Alaska as he was preparing to board a charter flight to China in an attempt to flee the U.S., the DOJ said. When taken into custody, he was carrying multiple items, including 2 laptops, 3 cell phones, several USB drives, several bars of silver, expired Chinese passports for his family, and deeds for property in China. Again, he was arrested last May. Who was president last May? You want to think this administration would have done a damn thing? This is something else Trump won't get credit for. His Department of Justice catches this guy trying to flee the country. The judge also ordered him to pay back $3.4 million in restitution to the NIH and about $413 to Ohio State University. For years, the defendant concealed, for years, not days, not months, years, the defendant concealed his participation in Chinese government talent recruitment programs, hiding his affiliations with at least 5 research institutes in China. Wonder if they list the research institutes. One of them happened to be Wuhan. But this is the stuff that ticks me off, the stuff that they remove, don't tell you about, shut people down for trying to tell you. And then a year later, they're like, oh, yeah, we got this professor, 37 months is what he got. So what do you think of good behavior? And then they're going to use COVID. Well, how long do you think this man's actually going to freaking serve for running a damn corrupt thing using our money? Our money. It ain't the government money. It's our money. Used Americans' money to do this shit. And then catch him trying to flee the country in Alaska last May, a year ago. It's disgusting. But yeah, they can't find this guy for years. This dude gets away doing this stuff for years, and then Fauci wants to tell Ron Paul that shit testifying to the Senate. Give me a freaking break. Ticks me off. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They got a damn Ohio State University professor abusing millions of dollars for years. And during the Trump administration, he was caught. And then they won't tell you they know what's going on in these colleges and at the National Institute of Health and stuff. But you think that gave him grants? They didn't know what he was doing. You don't think Fauci knew what was going on?
of course they did.
Of course.
100% he did.
Well, switching gears real quick, I know I saw a couple people in chat asking what's going on with the audit. As far as I know, I think Arizona at least is on pause because they had to give up the facility for a few graduation ceremonies for various high schools and that. And then I believe they'll be right back in there. But the last I saw, I think there were about 500,000 ballots in that processed. I haven't seen the latest update out of the Arizona GOP for Dr. Kelly Ward and what she has had to say. I think they've got a channel on that where she's kind of been going out, giving some updates. But the last figure I think I saw was something in the neighborhood of like 17.5% of the ballots in that should have been counted one way versus the other. And that's, I think, about as much as I have seen. And I can't speak to New Hampshire or any other states that are getting ready to fire up yet, but I know, like I said, a couple of people were asking out in chat.
Well, this is what I had for today on it. It was from the Epoch Times. The GOP chair, Elise Stefanik, Justice Department is trying to block the Maricopa County audit, which we knew this crap was going on. The Justice Department on May 5th sent a letter to Arizona Senate Leader Karen Fann, a Republican, inquiring about the custody of the ballots under review by a group of private contractors. Yeah, these are private contractors. And forget the fact that Dominion was a private company. Alleging that it's in other processes, including canvassing of address, as being voter intimidation. Voter intimidation, the election's over, you dumbasses. How the hell you intimidating somebody about voting when they've already voted? It says that her comments Sunday came just days after Dominion voting systems and Maricopa County officials said they would not provide passwords for election machines in Maricopa County. Dominion argued that it would comply with the audit, but it added that Cyber Ninjas, the company hired by the Senate, isn't accredited by the U.S. Elections Assistance Commission. Like Dominion did such a bang-up job, they refused to turn over a password. But there's nothing to hide here. Nothing to hide. It was approved. Stefanik, meanwhile, was approved by the House Republicans in a vote last week, blah, 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 blah. But there you go. There you go. So, yeah, this transparent, amazing administration's Justice Department is trying to shut that damn thing down. But there's nothing to hide, folks. Nothing there for anybody to see.
And again, I think probably the takeaway from all that is what does happen once this all gets done and over with. We get a nice handy dandy report, and then what? Nothing. I don't know. We're in such an unprecedented, unconstitutional territory. It's anybody's game as to what could and or should at least happen at this point. There's no provision per se in the Federalist Papers or in the Constitution that says, hey, what happens if somebody blatantly steals an election, tries to cover it up, prevents the rightful winner from getting in. However, I will say this, when it comes to fraud, at the end of the day, fraud is undone from the start, ab initio. And so once the fraud is proven, everything, you'd almost have to treat this as if it's a RICO case, in my opinion. And maybe that's the angle that the Mike Lindells and the Sidney Powells and that are looking at this at. I don't know. I can't speak for what sort of mindset they may have, but if it were me, that would be the route I would go to try and undo the whole kit and caboodle. Because, again, if you look at it just from the pure standpoint of the presidential, how can we necessarily trust that any other elected official got in fairly? And I'm talking from the least to the greatest. I'm talking all the way down to your local sheriff, all the way down to your election board, whoever got on your county seat, all the way into the president. We can't trust any one of them.
But yeah, you want to know what they do to you if you speak out and try and raise awareness? Space Force officer relieved after denouncing Marxism critical race theory in the military. Lieutenant General Stephen Whitting, Space Operations Command Commander, relieved Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Lomer of command of the 11th Space Morning Squadron, Buckley Air Force, Colorado, May 14th, due to loss of trust and confidence in his ability to lead. So they're eradicating these people. Anybody that doesn't stand for the leftist Marxist agenda, they're just getting rid of. And down here it says exactly, it says, what you see happening in the U.S. military at the moment is that if you're a conservative, then you're lumped into a group of people who are labeled extremists. If you're willing to voice your views, and if you are aligned with the left, then it's okay to be an activist online because no one's going to hold you accountable, Lomer also said, according to the Washington Examiner. And that's the truth. How many of these people, how many of these politicians, how many of these people in the media can go out here and tweet some of the most racist and radical things you could ever imagine, and then they're defended for being able to the freedom of speech is used. Oh, we're going to use that First Amendment, but when it comes to this guy, no, just get rid of him. This man was fired because he wrote a book about how they were trying to bring in like critical race theory and stuff into the military. You know, in here somewhere it says that there we go. I don't demonize the man, but I want to make it clear to both him and every service member, this agenda, it will divide us. It will not unify us, Lomer said, adding that Austin is promoting diversity, inclusion, and equity, which he and others have said are rooted in critical race theory, which is rooted in Marxism. And I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. They bring up the 1619 project, which Breaking knows more about than I do. But yeah, so, this poor guy, he doesn't have an opinion. He didn't have a view. He can't say what he thinks. That's what the Biden administration is doing, guys. And yet it was Trump that was called a Marxist or what he was called a Nazi and all this other crap. They're literally firing people if they don't fall in line.
And I can't remember if it was out of Epoch Times or Gateway Pundit or who it was out of the other day. I think there was an outfit out of Minnesota, actually, black group tied into a school system that flat out rejected critical race theory. So kudos to them. People are fighting back all across this country for the fraud of what this is, whether it be the 1619 project, looking at this through the lens of slavery and this, that, and the other, and reparations and all that bullshit, which it is, or critical race theory that they want to try and indoctrinate folks to, and, all about bag the whitey, right? And it's all crap. You reject it. 1776 report that Trump kicked out. Again, I'll say this one more time. Read through that puppy in about 2.5 hours. You can check it out on my channel. You can also check it out, I believe, over on Hillsdale College's site. Is probably one of the places you can still find a PDF of the report. I actually put it over on my Patreon as well if you want to read through it. And that's exactly how we fight back against it. Again, constitutionally, it's for a moral people. We're dealing with immoral people at this point. So, of course, they're not going to abide in anything that the Constitution says. So it's going to boil down to you and I, who have morals, who have values, who stand in truth, to take it rightfully back, period.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's amazing to me that all these people talk about the mail-in ballots, great, all this other stuff, and then these big companies like Amazon allow their security guards to go access the mailboxes during the union election. So these security guards unlocked the mailbox that was used to hold mail-in ballots, and it's like these. So now the workers are like, "That's not right. You should be able to do that." They don't practice what they preach. Is the moral of that story? They never do. They want, free, everybody should get a mail-in ballot, everybody, blah, blah, blah. But if you do it at Amazon, no, we ain't going to have none of that at Amazon. We want in-person voting. Sure. But for the country, for the president, do whatever you want.
Now you've mentioned voting, can I just show you this? I'll tell you for why, because it's really, really, really important in England at the moment, right? We have got what's known as a by-election coming up in Batley and Spen in the north of England, right? And absolutely, that's the wrong one, but I will find you the other one. Let me go and find the other one. The other one's got a bit more detail on it. Let me just bring it up for you. The reason why this is important, you've just mentioned voting there, right? There it is. Let me bring this one up for you. And there it is. Bash. Ooh. It should be on the screen now. I've asked people to use their skill sets, and some lady, I'm not going to mention her name, but contacted me, recently made redundant, and she's putting her skill set to use, making these leaflets up. Now, she sent me a series of 4 leaflets. The instructions were, make it simple, but make sure it's to the point, right? And again, this is about voting. This is about getting out there and doing it, right? And you've got a clear message on there, vote English. You've got a clear message on that leaflet. I love England. It's in a love art. Putting England first, supporting the rule of law, right? And defending the English constitution. And then what you've got is obviously the English Democrats there and Take Back Control.vote and the English Democrat Party. We're the only party that is aligned with the United States of America, with the Constitution to give you back, because they was never taken away from you. It is policy of the British government to give you back your right to keep and bear arms. We are the only party that's got it out there and said, listen, if you want to have an argument about it in court, then argue with us. We're telling you it's in our constitution. So people need to understand, get that leaflet out on social media, especially in Batley and Spen, especially in any areas where if people start talking to you about England, print out 10 of them, stick them through the letterboxes and let them know that there is someone there that supports you, right? And England is started to rise. So I will show that again, but it's really important that we get this message out. If there's anyone who's aligned with President Trump, with the American people, it's our party, none of the others, because the others are British. We're not British, and we're the last colony of the British Empire, and we need to take it back. That's it. I thought I'd give it a shout out, but I will show it again to people. Over.
That's awesome. That's good. No, I was just gonna let you go. Me and Bracken went back and forth for a while. If there's anything else you wanted to add, I will say this, because this one I was going to bring up at the very beginning. It's actually in another stream. I was looking at the soapboxes D Live. I had not switched over to 5x5s yet, but somebody's avatar was of the rebel flag, and I've had this discussion with Breaking before about it. And I live in the South, and I don't think anything makes me madder than to watch people try and use this flag as this flag. This is the Confederate flag. This is the one that was used to fly, that people wanted to still keep slavery, what people want to talk about. This is what the South considers a rebel flag. Has nothing to do with racism. People fly this because they're proud to live in the South. Black people in the South fly this flag. Exactly. If you don't believe me, I can show you clip after clip of them doing it. Wearing a hat, wearing the shirt, wearing whatever. So I just, as a Southerner, I want to make that really clear. This is a Confederate flag. This is a rebel flag. Okay, sorry. I'm just so tired of watching that one flag get used to be like, oh, you can't, blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, you don't know anything about how it is to live in the South. So, if anybody flies that, that's why the Dukes of Hazzard you saw had the rebel flag on it. It's not a damn Confederate flag. That's my soapbox for the South today.
No, I agree. And there's a few things I'll be going through in a little bit. I'm just going to type something up and see if I can get a link to this out there for people.
While you're doing that, jumping quickly back to the whole COVID business here, I know that the fight is on about the vaccine pass and everything else, right? We got a number of states now who says, no, not in our state. I think South Carolina is one that has come forward. They passed legislation. DeSantis, obviously, down in Florida. We've now seen Abbott down in Texas as well. And I'm sure there's a host of others, some of the Western states as well. But how many of you know that Klaus Schwab and company are saying, well, we're going to call for a global health pass based on an implantable microchip? Did you know that he had recently put that out there? No? All right. Well, article out of Humans Are Free here back on the 10th highlighted that. And so just beware that the old Davos World Economic Forum types of Klaus Schwab and company, the master sergeant, if you will, of the Great Reset, is the one that's purporting that that's the route things are going to go. And so if he's already speaking this, folks, and even though everything is coming out about these vax passes and everything else, be aware that behind the scenes, they're probably already working toward this. And perhaps maybe it gives a little bit more credence to some of the videos many of you have probably seen where, and I think we showed this on Wednesday, magnets actually sticking to people's arms where they actually got the jab. I think we showed the one gal on that. I have since seen another confirmation from somebody on Gab who personally witnessed his neighbor do this, did not want to give official testimony, didn't want to be on blast per se, but this particular person knows his neighbor personally, saw the same thing happen. So is it possible that these jabs may already have these nano chips potentially inside them? Who knows? We don't really know at this point. So be cognizant of that. Okay. Aside from that, Daddy, while I'm waiting on you, I guess you guys paying attention to what has been going on by way of Israel here as of late.
Well,
Obviously, obvious.
Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say there's obviously some back and forth between the Palestinians and the Hamas group and the IDF and everything else. Yesterday, if you saw the news, they took out the AP/Al Jazeera building, gave them very short notice, completely wiped it out. To that, I say good. Bye bye, Mockingbird Media. I have no qualms with that, frankly. Yes, lives probably lost, but at the end of the day, what I find most interesting out of this, and nobody is really talking about this, they're going back and citing Netanyahu for all comments, which I find to be very interesting, considering he lost the election. And if you paid attention before this little flap started, he was not able to form their coalition government in time. So that means that his opponent at this point is the one who is supposed to formulate the government. Now, think back here, over the last couple of years, Israel has had probably no less than 4 elections, if you've been paying attention. Netanyahu has been on the losing end of the stick several times, and it's just always miraculous set of circumstances where all of a sudden there's this little flap that takes place. Look over here, not over here. Look over here, folks, not over here, a shiny object. And all of a sudden, Netanyahu magically gets back in a position of power. How is that possible? This isn't the first time we've witnessed this, folks. Pay very close attention to what is going on in Israel. There's more than meets the eye to this little flap on that's been going back and forth with Hamas and the IDF and the shellings and everything else.
Do you see this? Israel showed U.S. intelligence smoking gun on Hamas using media building.
Yeah, Hamas is
civilians in time to evacuate the IDF fighter jet struck a multi-story building, and what did it have in here? It's it's the Associated Press, Al Jazeera, and other international news outlets.
Yeah, they sent about a 20-minute, if that, pre-warning, and they were complaining. Obviously, they didn't have time to barely gather up their equipment and get the hell out of there before the thing was struck with 4 shellings, I suppose. But again, Hamas is known for using human shields and that, and hiding behind hospitals, behind schools and that, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not surprised. Matter of fact, Hezbollah, I think here as of Thursday or Friday, the southern part of Israel was getting hit as well. And they were questioning whether or not Hezbollah sitting over in Jordan was starting to get in on the parade as well.
Yeah, they constantly, that's just a known thing where they stand behind school, where they go hide in a school because Israel, refuses to bomb a school. So Hamas will hide into a school building behind children. They constantly will use human shields. And that's been reported for years.
Yeah.
Now, they're actually bombing it. They're very precise too. If you can see, it almost looks like the dang thing was demolished.
Well, they better be for what we spend giving them dollars for munitions and Moabs and everything else. Good Lord, yeah, 300 billion a whack every year.
Yeah, so I just find that interesting. And I find it interesting, though, I'll tell you this. And again, this is just I find it weird that this video doesn't show it actually being hit. It just shows it falling and this thing being trained right on that building. I don't know if this is the camera somebody is playing.
Yeah, there's other shots that show it hits at the base of the building, and then there's 3 others that hit it as well.
Okay.
I see a couple of you saying BB and that is forcing people to get the vax and the passports. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Israel right now, I think, leads all nations by way of percent of population actually vaxxed at this point. And keep in mind, BB and his wife, Annette, are both up on corruption charges. They've been going after them for quite a long time. And so every time I see one of these little flaps take place that involves Israel, or, if it's Bashar al-Assad and company over in Syria, or some little flap with Iran, whatever, mysteriously, all that stuff just gets swept right under the rug yet again. And it just keeps getting pushed down the tracks. So again, keep your eyes close on the movements of Mr. Beebe and company and what happens there as a result. I would not be surprised if all of a sudden we find out that, mysteriously everybody rallies behind him, and here we go again. He's got his nice little coalition government right behind him again.
Well, let me just say this to you, but especially about this situation with Hamas and whatever. First of all, they are a terrorist organization. The second thing I will say to you is, yesterday, meaning Saturday, there was a big protest in London. One of our group, and I'm not going to say who it was right in the middle of them people as they were swinging off the scaffolding in Kensington area, abusing and attacking the Israeli embassy. The police were not arresting anyone, and this individual was literally saying to them, and he comes on my show quite regular, he was literally saying to them people, meaning the police, why is it that you're not hitting these people with batons? Why are you not dressed in riot gear, and why are you not keeping order here? Yet when you've got people sitting down in Hyde Park peacefully strung in a guitar to Oasis songs, you decide to put on full riot gear and beat them with batons, right? So anyway, he didn't really get much of a reply. What I will tell people, and again, it's not been on the news and I haven't been showing you, there was an impromptu thousands today, Hamas on the streets from Piccadilly to Hyde Park. They was particularly violent. They was particularly nasty on the streets. They think they can do what they like. I can tell you this, when they got to Hyde Park, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of riot police who dealt with them in the way that they should deal with violent people on the streets of London. And that is, they got dealt with, literally. And you're not seeing that on the BBC. You're not seeing that on the news. And someone obviously said, listen, you better stop this or we'll stop it. And I believe, and this is only my opinion, I believe someone very senior in the army said, if the police don't deal with this, we'll deal with it. And it stopped. I mean, it was there was a semi-battle in Hyde Park today, but at least they got what was coming to them. But I've got to tell you something, Hamas is a criminal, is a terrorist organisation. And I will say this, and I'm not going to say either way what my opinion is on Israel. Bollocks, yes, I will. They don't support England, so I don't support Israel, right? The British were the ones who caused that problem in the Middle East. The British are the ones who divided Palestine. The British are the ones who took Palestine away from Palestine and give it to Israel, right? And let me just say this to people. It was Jewish terrorists that bombed the British into submission. They booby-trapped British troops out there, and when their colleagues and their soldiers come along to help them, they were blown to bits. That terrorist organisation was called Ergon. It was a Jewish terrorist organisation that then got brought into the Israeli Defence Force, the IDF. Someone needs to tell you the truth. That's it.
No, we don't hold back here. I mean, I don't stop people from saying what they feel here. And I believe every one of these countries has a corrupt government. Every single one. I don't think anyone's innocent from being corrupt. That includes Israel.
Yeah, and from a biblical standpoint, folks, here's one thing you have to remember, right? It's spoken, if you support Israel, obviously you're in good favor with God. Here's the thing you have to understand, right? Is that, and this is probably going to be hard for people to understand is that Israel, the land, is not the equivalent of Israel, the people. Let me repeat that. Israel, the landmass that we see on the map today, as defined by the Balfour Declaration and everything else, right? And redrawn again after the 6-Day War, 1967, all that good stuff, is not the same as the biblical Israel. And if you think of what's supposed to happen in the book of Revelation, it's a time of Jacob's trouble, not time of Israel's trouble, but Jacob's trouble, meaning they are the tribes, the 12 tribes, 144,000. So the people who occupy the land today have no idea what lineage or what tribe they're actually from. They're dispersed all throughout these lands. And the reason I can reasonably say that with confidence is because after the second temple was destroyed in 70 AD, all that lineage was destroyed. All of it gone. They have no idea who they belong to. Maybe somebody knows, but the people who occupy the land, Israel today, it's spoken of in the Bible. There are Jews who say they are Jews but are not. That's exactly who they're talking about. So, I've heard some stuff come up here in recent days about the plans for the third temple and how they're going to go about doing that. They've had the plans drawn up for the third temple for a long time. But in conjunction, there's always a fight between the Muslims and the Jews at the Temple Mount, all that good stuff going on. The other thing you have to pay attention to is the prophecy on the side of Islam, right? They're waiting for their great grand Mahdi to return. However, one thing that you have to pay attention to here is, as of late, perhaps you don't know this, but the House of Saud has actually been in secret talks with Iran. Two different sects of Islam. You got the Sunnis, you got the Shiites. Yep. They can't have their grand Mahdi return without some sort of a unification of Islam. You can't have both parties, one out competing the other. So they have to unite in order for that event to take place. That Mahdi, is that the equivalent of the biblical Antichrist? Conceivably, one would surmise that is probably the case. Are we that close to it? It's hard to say. Keep watching. All I can say is watch the news and look.
Well, who I watch breaking. There's the one guy that I watch that is convinced it's Obama. I mean, from his ties, did you think about his ties with Islam and being supposedly born in Kenya and all that stuff? He is convinced it's Obama. Oh, go ahead, Daddy.
No, Grand Mufti of Jerusalem in the 40s was put in place by the British. The Grand Mufti of Jerusalem was then the person who created, before that, he helped to create the Muslim Brotherhood, and it was him that was seen with Hitler. And he also visited concentration camps and all of that guy and what he stood for was all put in place by the British. And when you research a history, you look at, and let me just say this to people, and I want people to understand this. The Muslims in Jerusalem at the time was saying to the British, don't put him in charge as the Grand Mufti. Whatever you do, don't do it. And they did. So again, they've interfered with foreign policy in another land, and this is all orchestrated. Everything that you see is orchestrated.
Yeah. All I can say is keep watching. Obviously, it's tough to know where to look with so many things going on, and myself included. Every day I probably cycle through 100, 150 articles and that from various sources around the webosphere. I use a couple, 2, 3 is kind of my base and that I use, and various research takes me to a couple hundred other sites and that, and each and every one of them has got their own specialties and things to watch, and it's tough to have eyes on all of this at one given time. You got the whole COVID business playing out. You still got stuff playing out with Epstein and what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell still playing out. You got the whole Gates fiasco now that he's splitting up with Melinda. Where is that going to go? Are we about to see the beans spilled with the whole Gates and Epstein stuff? Maybe. I don't know. How does that play into this? who knows? You name it. Heck, we're still getting stuff from the FBI shenanigans and FISA-gate. Every day you get this drip, 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 drip stuff coming out.
Yeah. And it is all coming out. Did you want me to just show you a couple of I'm not going to show the
yeah, wait 1 second. I'm just going to say this. Light Switch said complicated. To simplify it, from in my opinion, every single one of these countries have an agenda. They're never going to come out and say, I was in the wrong. They're always going to play the victim. They're always going to say, oh, poor, pitiful me. And because they control their own media and they're all in cohorts with one another, US, with the UK, with Israel, with Iran, I think they're all playing the same damn chess game. And we're the people just sitting back watching it, and they're trapping our minds to make us all believe that this all shit's going on. So we're distracted so they can continue to rip apart our constitutions and take away our rights. Exactly. I don't trust a damn one of them here in America, in the UK, in Israel, and Iran, because you put them in all, my grandmother used to say, just put them all in a brown paper sack, shake it all up, you're going to pull out the same damn thing. There you go. Sorry. Go ahead, Didi.
No, I agree with everything you just said. And let me tell you something, we have been infiltrated so back, but can we get it back? And the answer is yeah. The simple way of getting it back is vote English. And you'll take this country back, and the British will be left with nothing, because we'll ensure they have nothing. And then you'll see this world thrive. Because with the United States of America, with decent people like Trump, with Pompeo and others, you will see what goes on there. But let me just show you this on the screen.
While you do that, Dee, get ready. We're about to send Prince Harry back your way.
Oh, good Lord.
And to Daddy's point, yeah, vote English, but vote an English patriot. Vote an English neighbor. Vote somebody down the damn road. Don't vote somebody that's already been filled in this establishment that comes out and says sweet talks you and tries to tell you all the right things. Vote in a Daddy Dragon. Vote in a Ray out there, one of our mods. Vote in Jackie. I don't care. Vote in someone that maybe doesn't have all the answers, but is damn well prepared to figure it out and do what's right for your freaking country. Don't vote in these stand-in politicians.
No, that's it. I agree. And what you're seeing on the screen now, this is just from yesterday. There was a massive amount of people there, but people have to remember this, and I want people to understand what I'm saying. Yesterday, there was 40 to 50,000 people that went from St. James's Park to the BBC. But listen to me. Before, it was 500,000 to 1 million people on the streets. The reason why there was 40 to 50,000 this time is because all over this country, you had tens of thousands of people out. We split their resources. Do you understand that? They couldn't send all of the police from the rest of the country into London this time because they was managing different parts all over the country. Now what you're going to see, look at the screen, see how many English flags you got flying now. More and more, we're seeing the English flag being pulled up because people are proud of it. Right? There's the English flag, bang in the middle there. And as you go through here, you'll see it. We're doing an exchange on the 29th where if anyone's got a Union flag, yeah, we will give you an English flag and explain to you the reason why. But there you go. There's an English flag right bang in front of you. You'll see that behind my head. You'll see an English flag right in front of you there on the right-hand side. And as you go through this is outside the BBC. Handful of police. What are they doing? There's the English flag again. And as you look around, you'll see more and more of these English flags popping up everywhere because that's what you need to see. That's what terrorizes them. What terrorizes them is the English standing up for their own country, to be proud of being English and taking back the country. And as you look through all this, you will see it. There's masses of them. Everywhere you look on there, you will see the English flag. And that's exactly what you should be seeing. So again, what I'm going to do is show you this. And on this particular page, again, a lovely lady from the north of England who happens to not realise, one, how clever she is. She's just been made redundant. And I've got to tell you something, she's absolutely gorgeous. I've been talking to her all day, right? A proper English patriot lady that's helping us in the background, right? I'm not going to say she is because I don't want to dox her because she'll end up in the same position as I am, fighting through the courts to get your job back, right? But there it is on your screen now. Vote English, putting England first, supporting the rule of law, defending the English Constitution. There it is, simple message, love England. English Democrats, and you've got the two websites on there, takebackcontrol.vote and English Democrats Party. Stop them British people, these British, telling us that we're the bad guys. We're the ones who stopped slavery. We're the ones who went against the British and said it is against English constitutional law and English laws going back centuries. It was Granville Sharp from the north, from Durham, a layman, that said to the British, stop what you're doing. And it was him, not Wilberforce. Wilberforce then took over once he'd been into them courts and stood up against the British. And let me just say this to people listening. It was a white British barrister that was in that court as a slaver, a British barrister who had beaten his slave to an inch of his life. 2 years it took Granville Sharp to bring that slave back. That slave got on a ship and worked his way over here, even though he was in agony, even though he was blinded in one eye, because he was beaten by that barrister, that British barrister, right? And when it got in the English courts, after 2 years of Granville Sharp paying for him, Granville Sharp, the white man from the north, the Englishman, paid for his treatment for 2 years. And then his slaver tried to grab him and put him on a ship. And it was Granville Sharp that paid for a faster ship to catch him in the English Channel and say, get him off. We've got a writ from the English court. They took him back to London. And the London judges, the English judges at the time, decided in favour of the black slave. And that's what they said during that trial. That no slave, this English air is too pure for any slave to breathe. It's free to black. And that's exactly what they did. And the English need to be proud of the fact that we was the ones who stopped the slave trade as it is now today. And it's the British and the people like them all over this country. And they've turned this as if it was the English that was slaving. It was not the English that was slaving. And where the song comes from, we shall never, 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 never be slaves, was the fact that we were taken as slaves. Whole villages were taken as slaves. They raped and pillaged our villages in Cornwall and all around the coasts. And then we said we'd had enough. And then they built a navy, the English navy, that then sailed the seas and stopped the slavery. And then the Americans come in. That's where the Marines come from, because the same people, the same Islamists, started to take American ships and American slaves. So what did America do? They said, I'll tell you what, we'll have some of that. We'll now put Marines, and we've now got a Marine Corps on our ships, and we will stop slavery in the Mediterranean. And they did. That's what you've got to remember about history. It was the English and the Americans that stopped it.
Well, I'm going to say two things. One, I'm going to recast Tinfoil's comment, Foxhole. She says, we don't want spoiled brat Harry back. Thank you. And two, that is why it's important to know your history. Most people, we always hear about African-American slavery here in America. But if you go back and you dig into your history, one of the first slaves that were brought to America were from the UK. The British went back over to the UK and they took orphans off the streets and women out of the men off the streets. They brought them over here to America. They were the first ones enslaved because they didn't have to pay for them. They were free to them. They were the most mistreated slaves in the country because when they went to Africa, they actually had to pay for those slaves, which is gun trade, etc. So whenever it came to feeding the slaves, the black slaves were given the food first because that was actual money out of their pockets. And the slaves from the UK were the last to be fed. That is your history. And so it would be nice if people would learn it. There was not just African slaves in America. There were Irish. They were English. They were Japanese. I mean, they were Native Americans. So all this talk about reparations and shit, if people want to do reparations, then we can start with the English. Well, we can start with the Native Americans, then we'll move to the English, then we go to Ireland, and then the Dutch. Yeah, there was, and then we can move on, and we'll eventually get to the African Americans. But if you want to know your history, that's it. Nobody ever talks about the how the British went over and enslaved a bunch of the English because they were free to them. They were free slaves to them. That's the truth. I'm not lying. Look it up, YouTube and everybody else.
The problem with reparations is it's like a Mobius band. There is no beginning and there is no end, because all throughout global history, it's about he who conquers whatever land. So if you want to say, oh, give me reparations for your ancestry that's probably 2-3 generations back, which obviously you're not entitled to, but think that you are because, social justice warrior that you are. Well, let me just tell you something. You can have those reparations, but in turn, you're going to have to give that back to whoever conquered you, and they, in turn, are going to have to give it back to whoever conquered them, and so on and so forth. So don't think for a second that reparations are just due you just because. No. This thing is going to go on into perpetuity.
Let me just
say, again, I'll say I'm part Native American and part Irish on my mother's side. If you go back in history, both sides of my ancestry were enslaved. And I don't sit here and cry and bitch about it. People look at me and say, oh, look at the white girl. Why do you think I have such a huge issue with critical race theory? I look white, but I know that my ancestors were enslaved, and I'm not asking for reparations. But nobody taught. Everybody looks at a white person and says they're privileged. Dig back into their ancestry. At some point, probably a member of their family were enslaved as well. But nobody talks about that shit. Sorry, go ahead, Diddy.
Let me just say, I want to show everyone watching this show at the moment, and everyone's going to watch it. I had 12,500 plus, and that's with being oppressed and suppressed Twitters. Right, on my Twitter account, I had 12,500. Do you know why I got banned from Twitter? Do you want me to show everyone why I got banned? Because over a year ago, I advertised 3 books on there and said everyone should go and buy these books, right? There's the first book. It's a book, right? It's called Thomas Pellow, The Adventures of Thomas Pellow, 3 and 20 years in captivity among the Moors, right? That's one of them. That one there was the other one. The Stolen Village, right? That's where they took a whole village from Ireland. There was nobody left, and the village was called Baltimore. Here's the other book. It's called Giles Milton, White Gold, and it tells you the truth about slavery. Them 3 books, and by the way, Thomas Pellow actually wrote that book. If you want to hear the true story of a slave that was taken as an 11-year-old from Cornwall, where his family thought he was dead, 23 years later, he turned up on his mum and dad's doorstep. And let me just show you this other book. This is another one. They don't like me talking about it. There's the book, Memoirs of Granville Sharp. It's all in there, tells you the actual story with his actual diaries, right? So when people go to me, no, you're not telling me the truth, I'll say to him, go and buy that from Cambridge University Press, and it will tell you the truth about slavery and who stopped slavery. And this geezer come from Durham, a northerner, a layperson, right? He was a tailor by trade. He was the one who stopped it. He was the one who stood up in them British courts and told them British judges, stop what you're doing. And that's what happened. And it was the barrister who happened to be a slaver that stood against him. And the judges told him, they said, you may not like the outcome of this case. Are you sure you want to do this? And he carried on and he lost. That was the stopping of slavery. How can you be banned from Twitter? That's like the Nazis did when they burnt the books that they disagreed with. All of those books are factual.
Well, today, DD, rather than actual book burning parties like they did of old, they just digitally burn books or just off the platform because truth is just a little too hot to handle.
Exactly that. And again,
there's another book called White Cargo. by the way. Here,
Yeah.
I'll just show you because I ain't scared. I've done told you before. I'm a little pissed off and thinking about what I'm going to do with YouTube right now for removing that video because I've sourced every piece of that evidence. And right now you have the CDC confirming everything I told you in that video they said was misinformation. There's white cargo. There's white slavery in the Barbarian states. There's a novel of white slaves. There's a ton of it. I mean, there's a ton of it. You can look up and research this stuff for yourself. We're not lying to you. Nobody wants to talk about it because it doesn't fit that narrative.
Doesn't
Poor
fit
pitiful
their
me.
agenda. No, I agree
Inconvenient
entirely.
truths.
Oh, they really like the White Slaves, African Masters. Check that book out.
Yeah. So next time you see police officers kneeling to blacks to Black Lives Matter in London, you can turn around and say, listen, we as the white English have never asked the blacks to kneel to us, right? So why are you asking us to kneel to you now when we was the ones who set you free, right? And by the way, people, when all them blacks was taken to Saudi Arabia, the reason why there isn't loads of blacks in Saudi Arabia is because the Saudi Arabians, yes, the Moors, castrated them. It didn't happen in America, did it? No, it didn't. If you learn your history, you understand what's going on and what they're doing. And the British are using that channel now and other means to flood this country with them people. And that's why you're seeing riots on the streets of London because of what the British are doing. And one way or the other, we have to take this country back. And that leaflet is one way of doing it. So get it printed and put it through 10 of your neighbours' doors. And then get the word out there. We'll make them into stickers, stick them on buses, stick them anywhere, but make sure that that is seen so people know. And by the way, there are 3 international laws, right? The Universal Declaration of Rights and 2 other treaties that have been signed to say that we have the right as human beings to self-determination, and this nation of England has the right to self-determination. So why haven't we got a parliament? And why are the people us? Why do we have no voice? I'll tell you for why. Because the British don't want you to have a voice. And the sooner you swap that British flag with a swap out day that we're having on the 29th and pick up that English flag with pride, that is when we're taking back this nation. Over.
Got anything before I jump into some notables?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'll just run through these really, really quick because basically they're just titled. The BLM co-founder Patrice Cullors rails against white supremacist housing market weeks after splashing out millions on real estate. Yep, this lady's now bitching about the real estate market, even though she's the one that's been all over everywhere because she just bought a bunch of houses in predominantly white neighborhoods. So yeah. There's a little bit more hypocrisy for you. The HHS diverted $2 billion from the COVID-19 relief to cover the cost of housing thousands of child migrants at the border. $2 billion. You're welcome, American taxpayers. You're now paying for illegal immigrant children that Biden refuses to shut down. And then hundreds of bodies found buried along Indian riverbanks. These are a bunch of Indians, they said, that supposedly washed up on the riverbanks. And of course, the speculation about COVID, but anybody that knows anything about what's going on in India right now is also the farmers. They're attacking the farmers. They're trying to shut down these small farmers. That sounds kind of familiar to South Africa to me. Delta Airlines to force new employees to get COVID-19 vaccines. They're not the only ones. Yale to require vaccinations for faculty and staff. That should be refuted, and they should be taken to court. You should not be able to demand that people take an experimental vaccine. This is just out of one of the inserts of one of the books I talked about. They were white, and yes, they were slaves. It's a history of white people that has never been told in any coherent form, largely because most modern historians have, for reasons of political or psychology, refused to recognize white slaves in early America as just that. Remember who was the first Americans here? Who was the first people to arrive on American shores? They were British. Today, not a tear is shed for the sufferings of millions of our own enslaved forefathers. 200 years of white slavery in America have almost been completely obliterated from the collective memory of the American people. Who wants to be reminded that half, perhaps as many as 2/3 of the original American colonists came here not of their own free will, but kidnapped, shanghaied, impressed, duped, begilded, and yes, in chains. We tend to gloss over it. We prefer to get the whole sorry chapter. Remember what that says: half, perhaps as many as 2/3. The correct understanding of the authentic history of enslavement in the whites in America could have been profound consequences for the future of the races. We cannot be sure that what the position of the earliest Africans differed markedly from that of the white indentured servants. Again, this is wordplay. So white slaves were called white indentured servitude, white bond servants, white servants. Why aren't they called slaves? The definition of what they were was slaves. But because they want to play word salad here, they want to call them servitude, indentured servitude. What is indentured servitude? It's this definition of slavery. So again, but they will see the ancients and medieval Europe. You can get these books, guys, and read them. They're out there. Again, ScrewTube, we're not lying to anybody. This is the truth. This is the history that people try to hide because it does not fit well into their narrative that, oh my God, let's just divide the country and say this whole section of population was oppressed. And let's forget up to 2/3 of the people that originally were brought here were brought into slavery, and they weren't black. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Break.
All right. Well, before I get going on the old notables, what the Anons are digging on, the headline just come through Zero Hedge, and I was just talking about this old Billy Boy Gates and Epstein. Headline: Bill Gates urged to provide Epstein evidence to Ghislaine Maxwell investigators. Do you suppose things are starting to maybe heat up by way of Ghislaine's stuff here? And perhaps, the trap was well set for Mr. Gates. Stay tuned, folks. All right, rundown of the notables today. Calling it out as it is, masking children is child abuse, and I would agree 100%. Widely used Pfizer vaccine may cause deadly neurodegenerative disease, and by the way, along the Pfizer lines, I don't think it's mentioned here, but another headline that came through in the last 24, 48 hours that the old Pfizer execs decided they wanted to take a little trip over to Israel, and were promptly denied because they were not properly and 100% vaxxed. Keck. Recent Texas hearing that COVID vaccine trials in animals were stopped because they kept dying. Yep. $2 billion taken from your tax money spent on caring for unaccompanied migrant children. Yep, we just got done talking about that. Mr. Podesta talks on who funded Fusion GPS. So again, folks, like I said, the drip, drip, drip continues from some old narratives and themes and that of old. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky demands that unvaccinated people wear their masks, and more flip-flopping because, as the headline says here, following the science, CDC shifts from impending doom to you're free in 6 weeks. So yeah, flip-flop just like Fauci. Who do you believe? None of it. Don Logan, Skytle, Runback, Texas, Election Connect. And I don't know what the heck is going on with this Runback business, but the previous board is completely lit up with that. They're obviously digging on that. I'm going to have to try and search out some headlines as to what all is going on there. Skytle, for those that don't know, as a lot of this information about the Dominion voting systems now was found out around election time, obviously all of the counting of ballots and whatnot is offshored. And of course, we find out that one of the systems that it relies upon is Skytle. I believe that's how you say it, Skytle, whichever. So more in that regard, I'm sure. Meet the Rubex management team. I'm not sure what's going on with that either, but nonetheless, 5G and COVID vaccine equals depopulation. Yeah, well, again, if you're with me the other night on the soapbox, I gave a bit of a rundown on reproductive health, tying in some of that as well. Also, glyphosate. It all acts in concert, folks. Do your research. Runbeck Research. Who is Linda Runbeck of Minnesota? Any link to the George Floyd video and the production company mentioned? Which one is the Runbeck Research? So again, they're doing a lot of digging on that. Again, I'm not familiar with what all is Runbeck, but obviously it's definitely perked the interest of the Anons this afternoon. Previously mentioned as being deleted, the Maricopa County database files might have been recovered by the audit team. Very, very interesting. So those asking about what's going on down in old Maricopa, oh, the shenanigans continue. And of course, you know that the business of the sheriff down there, which is a Soros plant funded by, a couple $1 million in his campaign after the removal of old Joe Arpaio several years ago. You'll remember that. Definitely a campaign by Soros and company to get their guy in behind the scenes, right? Magnetohalogical fluid and its applications. That's a mouthful. Not sure what's going on there. Says this is what makes people magnetic after taking the vax. Well, that's a very good question. Who knows? You know, back in the day, there used to be this whole deal about thimerosal, which was basically the equivalent of mercury. A lot of the vaccine corporations, not the big pharmas, now were supposed to have removed it. I don't know if mercury is indeed magnetic or not. Maybe there's remnants of that. Who knows? Again, it's tough to say what all is in these. Where's Fauci? I don't know. Is he gone missing? I thought he was just out on some of the Meet the Presses here today, but I could be wrong. Soros bought 375 million of the shares that Archegos was liquidating. And for those that don't know, I did a show on Archegos and Greensill and some of the shenanigans going on with some of these big hedge funders. And that basically brought the likes of Credit Suisse to their knees and got a bunch of execs removed from their jobs. So apparently Soros bought the dip. And let's see, predictable programming. UK Health Secretary says Indian variant of COVID-19 could spread like wildfire among the unvaccinated. Yeah, cry me a river on that one. More fear tactics, whoop-de-doo. More digs into the obvious identity fraud for financial benefits. Yeah, no surprises there. Turkey's President Erdogan claims Europe an open-air prison for religion of peace. Interesting. So Erdogan apparently trying to stir up the pot a little bit, playing both sides, the NATO side as well as the Russia side and everything else. But
and real quick, I just want to add, Code Talker just said in chat, Fauci just sold his house in D.C. So yeah, getting the hell out of Dodge.
Lamb on the run, you think, huh? Well, let's keep close ties on old Fauci, and maybe I guess they've got a spot waiting for him in China. That's all that's going on the boards this afternoon. What the Anons are digging on. Like I said, you may want to do a little digging on what this whole runback is. Again, the previous spread just before the one that I read off, pretty well lit up in that regard. So apparently there's some interesting stuff going on there.
Just to let everyone know, there is a serious problem, though, with the Indian version of COVID. It's had a serious effect on one of my neighbours who's been in a coma all week. And this is not the 9 o'clock news. And obviously, it's had a very, very serious effect on my nan.
Oh, my.
And guess who uses Africa and India as their test subjects? Anybody got the name? He's about to get divorced. Guess who was kicked out of India for well, who do you think they use as test subjects? Who do you think they would use if another string of a variant would come out? Guys, it's all in the literature.
Indian
they do not
Supreme
care
Court.
About these third world countries. They use that as an excuse for you to fund it and raise more money so they can put something out and then test it on these people. They have injured and hurt more people in Africa and India than you care to imagine. And I'm sorry to hear about your nan. I'm sure it's horrible for her. And if I were in Africa or India, I wouldn't let Bill Gates set a daggum tractor wheel down in that country, much less an airplane full of people to go inject daggum, people that don't know any better, full of whatever the hell they want to inject them with. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. Bill Gates brought back polio with his vaccine. There was no what quote unquote wild variant in polio. And Bill Gates brought it back in with his fucking vaccine.
And not only that, the HPV vaccine is probably the one that's probably the most troublesome of any of the countries, and that he's put it out there, whether it be any of the countries in Africa to India. The HPV vaccine made plenty of young women sterile for life. And that was brought to us by Bill Gates. So
can I just
correct me?
Can I just say to the American audience, and especially to Laura and possibly Spectre, you may not understand our English humour on this one. Just to let you know that a coma is an Indian curry. So when I said my neighbour's been in a coma all week, it's a play on the word. And also that naan is a type of Indian bread that we have with our curry. So when
I thought you said nan. Sorry, I know King of Kings was out there trying to set me straight. He's like, he said non. Yeah, non
naan
bread.
is
I know what
naan bread. So obviously, yeah. So I'm a bit worried about my the effect that the Indian COVID is having on my naan.
Well, hey,
in the South, we call grandmas nanas, nannies. So when you said that, I thought, I don't know what Daddy Dragon's grandma's living in India, but sorry.
and if you remember right here,
Thanks, King of Kings, by the way.
It wasn't too long ago. I believe it was back in December. We were talking about in India, the AstraZeneca Oxford lab over there had caught fire. And what vaccine is causing all sorts of blood clots at the moment that is effectively shut out of the EU and pretty much worldwide at the moment? Food for thought.
And just to let everyone know, keep taking the pillar. It's another English joke.
I have no idea. See, I could say some Southern jokes, but we would immediately be shut down. Okay. Folks down here say some pretty.
Let me tell you something. I think England and Tennessee would get on all right if they're advertising in their gas stations or anything to go by.
Again, I will say it again. I feel like I need to keep stressing this because it has baffled my mind that I see so many people living in the same country that I live in that talk about mask mandates and their businesses being shut down and everybody walking around in them. Again, where I live, this is not a joke. I'm not stretching the truth. I'm not filling your head full of bullshit. I'm telling you the truth. Where I live, in the county I live in, we have never, not once, had a mask mandate. We have not shut down any of our businesses. You could walk outside in April just as well as last year in May last year, as well as you could walk outside today and you wouldn't know a damn thing's going on. The ballpark was still full of kids with parents sitting out in lawn chairs and shit like that. I mean, I'm telling you, we didn't skip a beat here, not a beat. So whatever they're doing in the rest of the country, states are like their own little countries here. Nashville, it might have been different. Memphis might have been different. They're Democratic run cities. But the rest of this damn state just acted like it was a freaking flu season and went on about their damn business. That's just the truth. Well, and so I encourage all you to look around, to get maybe look around the city you live in. And like I shared that video last time we were on of London, of people walking down the street that none of them had one on. And they don't want that message getting out. Why not? Because it does not push that narrative to where now you have these businesses. I'll give you a free hot dog. Here's your free coffee. Here you can win $1 million in Ohio. As much as they're pushing this shit down people's throats, they don't understand that people are having an adverse reaction to it. Why is everybody pushing this so hard? If it's so great for you, then why are they shutting so many people down but just coming out and telling you the truth? If there's nothing wrong with it, then why are you trying to shut people up from talking about it?
Yeah, real quick, I saw a CS post, one of my favorite quotes, George Carlin. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
You should play that whole clip.
Well, one of these days I will. But speaking of clubs, check out the folks in this club. Be careful who you follow, folks.
Oh, I'm telling you, I don't trust that dude as far as I could spit. I don't like any of those mega church evangelistic people. None of them. The guy with the weird freaking eyes.
For those that don't know, across the pond, this is a Mr. Joel Osteen from down around Houston area. It's got a mega church.
Yeah, the guy that had to be bullied into open his church up when the freaking hurricane hit. Mr. Love Jesus, that wouldn't open his own church up to help people that had become homeless.
This guy is the one who just had the
slid
Nike
down
shoe.
To hell.
Yeah.
I was going to say, who's the chick on the right?
That's Osteen's wife. Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean the right.
This guy? he whatever you want to call him. He's the one that produced the video where he's riding Satan's lap, making a mockery. So
Right. Just to let everyone know, I don't like organised religion myself. I've got my own personal relationship with God, and He forgives me for all the jokes I've told tonight.
No, I'm going to share this. We're not monetized on YouTube. Give me another fucking strike. I could give a shit less. I'm so sick of this shit. I'm not even kidding. I'm from the South, y'all. Whenever you try to shut me down, it just pisses me off, and I'll just share even more.
Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. And you say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there. It's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing fucking ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on. The fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
I'll remind you, he said that, like, what was it, like 20 years ago? I think that comedy sketch was done almost 20 years ago. And I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you right now, if you're not willing to listen to what that man said and do something about it, then sit down and shut the hell up. And let people that are willing to try and fight back for your rights and fight back against this bullshit, let them do the hard work. And the rest of you, YouTube, ScrewTube, Twitter, Facebook, keep telling us that you're part of this awesome agenda that's just about freedom and freedom of speech, while you're shutting people up and you're banning people for sharing books on fucking Twitter. Spare me your shit.
And I'll say this too. Each and every one of you listening, including us, if we don't have a file equally as thick as what George Carlin had via the FBI, NSA, or otherwise, you're not trying.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah, I agree with that, Spectre. I'll tell you, so my file must be getting bigger and bigger in that office, especially when the Attorney General has been told by the European Court of Human Rights that he must speak to me. I'll bet that give him the Good. Perfect.
Now that clip was recorded November the 5th of 2005. Somebody asked me about the date. I did, Bray. I posted the link. It's right up above you, about 4 or 5 posts up. Here, I'll put it again. But yeah, that's again what he said. Everything he said is the truth. And the ironic part about it is I've been reading that book, Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. And this lady goes through step by step to tell you everything that they did to decimate our education system. I find it crazy that George Carlin started that segment, that clip of his comedy set sketch. And these people in comedy try to tell you the truth. Dave Chappelle's another one that's trying to tell you the truth. So is Cat Williams. They all do it. They'll go on stage just like freaking Jim Carrey went on Jimmy Kimmel and did that whole mocking tongue thing and said, "I'm tired of lying." And then the whole audience laughed at him like he was telling a joke. He wasn't kidding. They do that to show how stupid they think you are, that you'll listen to someone tell you the truth about what's going on and you'll laugh at it. It's not a joke.
It comes through music too. If you remember, I even talked about it through Q, the likes of Chester.
Wet ass pussy that Cardi B puts out for 12-year-old kids to jam to, or not little Nas sliding down a stripper pole to hell so he can have sex with Satan and then become him. I don't know what's going on with our kids these days.
I'm not necessarily talking about that. I'm talking the likes of like the Chester Benningtons and Cantrells and things of that nature, that untimely deaths, and that for some of the things that they were involved with and some of the things that came via their lyrics and their songs. Pay close attention.
And again, I say, do something about it. I think Daddy should run for office again. I think people around him should. I think Breaking should. I think anybody out there that I don't give a shit. I'm going to say it again. If you don't know anything about how to run a city or a county or a state or whatever, wherever you live, or what do you call it in the UK, like Providence or whatever, I don't give a shit. If you're willing to learn, and you love your countrymen and you care about your rights, I will vote. I would rather vote for you so you can sit in there and learn rather than vote for somebody that's telling you they know how to do it.
Yep. Yeah, listen, I absolutely agree. And I keep telling people that we don't want politicians. We don't want people with political degrees. We need people to stand up who love this countrymen, their countrymen and women, right? And let me just say this expressly. I do not give a fuck what colour you are, right? I will wrap you in the English flag if you stand for what I stand for. And that is our constitution, and that is our rights. And those rights are for everyone. Black, white, brown, whatever. I'm not interested in that. But there is an indigenous population of this country, and it's about time we stood up and took back control, because sooner or later, the British are going to destroy England in the same way they've destroyed all these other places around the world. We are the last significant colony of the British Empire. Take it back.
Yeah,
Well,
and I agree
before
100%. I think that people are scared to run because they don't think they know enough about politics. Look at what we've got from the people that think they do. Again, I will place my money on you moreover than I would place my money on someone that has gone in there and screwed us over year after year after year, that puts out fucking tweets that says, oh, well, we need to say something. Oh, we're going to hold a meeting. Oh, look, we're going to bring him before the Senate, and we're not going to do a damn thing at the end of the day about it. We're not going to do a damn thing. Ilhan Omar bringing her brother over here. All this illegal shit that they did with her and AOC did with their campaign funds. We'd hear nothing else about that. Nothing was done. We had an entire section of the government try and set Donald Trump up and accuse him of being a Russian spy. We paid $40 million and 2 years of investigation of people that all they wanted to do was take him out, and not one person was fired. Spare me your bullshit. Spare me that you care about this country. I'm talking to Ted Cruz. I'm talking to Matt Gaetz. I'm talking to Jim Jordan. I'm talking to Tim Cotton. I'm talking to all of them. I'm talking to DeSantis in Florida. I'm talking to Donald fucking Trump. You keep going out here and pushing this damn vaccine on people and telling everybody it's safe and effective. I'm going to say the same thing to you. I'll say to every one of the else of them. I would vote for any of you over I'd vote for Trump. Does that make it clear what I'm saying? I'm serious about it, because whenever he started pushing the red flag stuff and he started pushing this damn vaccine time and time again, prove me wrong, he hasn't done it, and he's still not doing it. That scares me, because remember, these people are supposed to be in the know. If he's really standing up for the American people, then why does he keep doing that crap? The same thing with Ben Shapiro. I used to listen to Ben Shapiro. I loved his debates. I loved them. And then I watched him go on Twitter and talk about the vaccine himself. And his wife's a doctor. Screw you too, Ben Shapiro. Screw you too, dude. I don't want to hear it from your ass either no more. I'm not living in a damn fog land anymore for anybody. Because I'm not going to say, okay, well, we'll just excuse him doing this shit where he's trying to push something experimental on people, now on kids, and then just turn my blinders on that you're still the savior when you know what you're doing. I'm not kidding about it. I would vote for damn Breaking Spectre before I'd vote for any of these damn people. Sorry. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with this pushing this damn vaccine. I'm sick of it.
Just to offer a few words of encouragement. I saw somebody post in chat here a minute ago that don't forget that while they hate us, they hated Christ first. You're absolutely right. And along those lines, to give you a little encouragement, 2 Corinthians 10 says, "Now I, Paul, myself entreat you by the humility and gentleness of Christ. I, who in your presence am lowly among you, but being absent am bold toward you. Yes, I beg you that I may not, when present, show courage with the confidence with which I intend to be bold against some, who consider us to be walking according to the flesh. For though we walk in the flesh, we don't wage war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but mighty before God to the throwing down of strongholds, throwing down imaginations and every high thing that is exalted against the knowledge of God, and bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ, and being in readiness to avenge all disobedience when your obedience will be made full." So that's the word of encouragement I want to give you. 1, we are in good company. Number 2, walk circumspectly, upright, and use the tools that we have available to us. We talk about Ephesians 6 a lot. The fact that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, the rulers of the darkness of this age. That's exactly what that's talking about. So prayer, definitely pray.
Yeah.
Walk upright. Be bold about your actions, your words, and word and deed. And that's where I'll end today.
No, I absolutely agree with everything.
I'm trying to find out. Tracy said for me to watch something. And if you guys don't believe me, I do try to keep up with what you guys tell me to watch or whatever. I will drop it in a notepad so I can try and look it up later. I really do that. Like, here's my notepad. So I took her whole comment, put it up here to try and remind me of what she's told me to look at. If you guys put it down in the comment section below, especially, again, I'm sorry, but on YouTube, it's the easiest way to comment. I wish somebody would change it. I wish D-Live would have a comment section below, or like Foxhole, maybe they will in the future, have a comment section below where you can drop things and I could watch them or go back and look at them. Because again, we wouldn't have had Oracle again, which by the way, they took down, say that again, for misinformation. So, and I know how people feel. I know a lot of people love Trump. And I stood here, anybody can go back and watch me. I have been all about him for years, just like I was for 17, but I'm not living in a fog anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be left. I'm not going to sit here and watch somebody do something I don't agree with and not speak out about it. I'm going to do it. And listen, what did somebody ask in breaking, about it, about Trump signed the Nordum law? What was that? I'm not familiar with it. Did Donald Trump sign the no hide law? Do you know anything about that?
No hide law. I've heard about that in the past. I've not seen anything definitive. Obviously, what that pertains to is probably the Jewish lobby, the ADL types, and that. Again, the thing you got to remember is that there is quite a bit of influence per his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, which, by the way, if you don't know, his own daughter had to convert to Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, and that before she could even marry Jared Kushner. And so it does give one pause, obviously, with some of the things in that coming out, especially in regards to the vaccination, things of that nature.
Facts Matter said no.
Pardon?
Facts Matter and YouTube said no.
No,
I think they responded to him signing that law.
Yeah, Noah Hyde. I can't say for certain either. I've not seen anything definitive. I've seen memes. I've seen people post clips, but nothing with any sort of sauce to say definitively one way or the other.
Yeah. Well,
Can I just ask you a question as well? You just quoted a couple of Bible verses there, and referenced Jesus and the problems that Jesus went through, right? I want everyone out there to understand something. There used to be a book that was well known in amongst Christians, and on the shelf where the Bible sat, another book sat, and it was called the Book of Martyrs. And if anyone ever read that, you'll understand what Christians really went through to get Christianity installed as the basis of good in this world, right? And if you haven't read it, go and read it. And if you think in any way or form that any of the pressures that are being put on us at the moment by these people that think they can beat us, and again, I'm going back to what Breaking said there, the power of prayer is powerful, very powerful. And it is a vibration. It is a frequency that when we pray, we come together as one. And that is literally the spearhead against the evil. And that's what people have got to remember.
Yeah. And to that end, the Orthodox Jews do not recognize the New Testament because obviously they're still waiting for their Messiah that they twice rejected, right? And so if you are a Gentile, the Greeks, as they were called biblically, you and I, who are not of the apple's eye, as it were, that God has called his chosen people, there's only two tenets, folks, that we have to worry about, period. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your strength, all your mind, all your soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. Everything else takes care of itself. 10 Commandments, everything, every other law behind it, period. That's it. And in the New Testament, it was Paul, famous persecutor of Christians, wrote a good chunk of the New Testament. Persecuted Christians as Saul on the way to Damascus, obviously blinded after 3 days, got his sight back, and the rest is history, as they say. I think, in my personal opinion, the thing that rubs the chosen ones wrong the most is the fact that at the end of the day, the Gentiles were grafted in. The same. We are of the same accord in God's eyes, and they just cannot deal with that. That's why they abide in the tenets of the Talmud, things of that nature that are not biblical. things that are written by rabbis and teachings that are not Christ-centric, God-centric, you name it. And, I came across an interesting piece that was posted from the EDO back in the 1930s that were talking along those lines. And it's all based on deception, against the Gentiles. And if you understand the New Testament and that particular portion of scripture where it says, hey, we're all part of the same damn family here, then you can understand why we're seeing the things play out as we see them.
Well, and exactly. Before, by the way, I'm not saying we have to end, but I don't want to forget to do this. Sometimes we wrap up pretty quick and I forget to do it, but I have to give a shout out, number one, to Thumper Rose. I see her out in D-Live all the time as a mod, and thank you for being here. But a huge shout out to Ray Edmonds, who's a mod and is always here. He maintains so many different chat rooms. He's constantly dropping links in all of them. Ray is a hard working mod. So I have to give thanks to Ray for always being here and doing such an amazing job. Now, all my mods, but I wanted to say thanks to Ray especially because he really does drop links in so many of our different chat rooms. I couldn't do it without him. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to say that because I've been wanting to say that and I keep forgetting because we end so quickly. But y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead and talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. I've got all my stuff done for the day.
Yeah, I'm about out. So I think I'm going to bow out here for the day, folks. Appreciate you joining. As always, we'll see you back on Wednesday, if not sooner.
And there you go. There you go. You don't have to leave. Yeah, you can hang out with us for the last few minutes. Daddy, you want to go over a couple other things, or if you got to go, Breaking, I understand.
No, actually, I am going to be slipping off now, but the only thing I will say is don't forget the Constitution is the solution. The 29th of May, Hyde Park, we're going to be there. There's going to be millions of us on the street. We want as many of us out there as possible. There's going to be a group of us with English flags. We're going to have that leaflet that you've seen on the screen, and we're going to be telling people, if you've got a Union flag, give it to us. We'll discreetly put it in a hole that will take away with us, and we'll be giving you an English flag because you've got to understand it is the British that are the problem. That's it.
All right. Well, thanks for everybody for hanging out. I see Drunk Pinata posting something quickly in the chat. Drunk Pinata, you're always welcome to pop in here anytime you want to. And so I guess if that, Daddy, you know how to take us out.
Bye.